Welcome to the Bakke Graduate University tutorial on using the EndNote program in a Turabian format using Word 2007. There is another version of this tutorial using the 2003 Word version, and I believe it's EndNote 4 version. So this is a little upgrade with the Word 2007 and with EndNote version 6. So the Bakke Graduate University provides a paper template to all students. So if you did not receive the paper template, please contact the registrar for that template. You also, as a Bakke Graduate University student, receive the program entitled EndNote. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to use that program to insert references and automatically generate a bibliography. So we're starting out with my paper template. As you can see, it's already set up for you with headings marked, and there is also another tutorial, by the way, to learn how to do styles. So let's go down. The first chapter of all of the BGU papers is the book reviews. So we're coming now to our first book review that you're going to do a report on. So what you're going to do is to change the title of the book. These titles that are provided for you are just placeholders, and you are to insert your own title, whatever book you've read. So let's use Ray Bakke's Theology as Big as the City as our first book review. And I've just given you some little starting points. You don't have to use these sentences exactly. It's just a way for you to be able to begin inserting your book information. So in his book, and what you're going to do is these three X's are for the title, Theology as Big as the City, the author, yada, yada, yada. Okay? And we've already inserted the footnote. And to insert a footnote, for those of you who don't know, you go to your References tab and click on Insert Footnote. But since we've already got a footnote here, we're going to go down. And this information you're just going to delete, but it's just instructions saying using the EndNote program, you can insert the information that you need. So let's delete that information. And now we're going to go into the EndNote program. Now if you've inserted or installed your EndNote program properly, you should have a tab at the top that says EndNote and then X whatever version you have. So this is version 6. So we're going to click on that, and then you always must go to EndNote. See up here on the left. So you're going to go to EndNote. And when we open up EndNote, of course, I have a very large library. And so what we're going to do is close my library and start a new library just to show you how to create your own EndNote library and to set up EndNote so that it will format your document correctly. So this is very important, this initial setup phase of the EndNote program. As you can see, this is my EndNote program and my library, and I have 2,500 references, which you'll probably never have that many, but you may. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to close this library. Now when you very first open up your EndNote program for the first time, this is what it's going to look like. And so what you first need to do is to create for yourself a library. So click on the File and click on New. And that will ask you what you want to call your library. You can leave it to default to My EndNote Library, or you can call it something else. I have several libraries. Let me call this Sam Sample, because I already have a Sally Sample. So this is the Sam Sample Library. Hit Enter. So now we have created the Sam Sample Library. In version 6, there is this section over here that I don't ever use, so I've kind of just moved it to the side. You may decide when you open up the program for the first time which areas you're going to want to use and those areas that just are not important to you. This one is not important to me. All right, so the first thing you want to do is to set up your EndNote program to the type of document that you are using. Now this is going to be an instructional video for the Turabian formatting. I will be creating an instructional video using the EndNote program for APA, but this is for Turabian. So we're going to set this up for Turabian. So what you're going to do first is go into Edit, drop down to Output Styles, and then you want to open Style Manager. So once you've opened the Style Manager for the first time, many things will be checked over here on this list. It's a very long list of the various types of formatting that you can use in the EndNote program. But all you are going to want to have clicked is Turabian Bibliography. So you can come over here and you can unmark all if there are just too many checks, and then you just check Turabian Bibliography, and then you're going to close and save this. So File, Close Style Manager, and then this area right here should say Turabian Bibliography. You see that? Now what we're going to do is I'm going to minimize the EndNote program, and I want to show you that this area in your Word program also needs to say Turabian Bibliography. Of course, it has a drop-down menu, and you can pick APA or whatever, but you want to make sure that this says Turabian Bibliography. Okay, let's go back into the EndNote program. So we've set up our style correctly, and we have formatted however we want it to be, and you can play with that if you'd like. Now we're going to go try to find our first book. And as you'll recall, our first book was Theology as Big as a City. And so what I'm going to do is go down and make sure that your cursor is in the footnote before you go into EndNote to insert that book. But let's first find it. The best place that I have found to find books is the Library of Congress. So click on the Library of Congress, and of course you have to be connected to the internet for this to work. And we're going to search. So our author contains Baki. Let me pull this down. The year, I don't normally put the year, but you can if you want to, if you have a particular version that you want to use. And then I'm going to type in just Theology as Big. I'm not even going to have to put the whole name of the book, just a few letters or a few words to sort it. And you'll notice that our confirming online search shows that there is only one book. So we're going to say OK. And what that does is the Library of Congress will bring in the information that they have in their database for this book. Once it comes up, once the book has come up, you're going to double click on the book. And the reason for this is you want to edit to make sure that it is also in Turabian formatting style. Many books, for example, have a subtitle. They'll have a colon and then some kind of word, an explanation. The problem with that is you don't want this space between the colon and the word, so you want to delete that space. So that's one of the things that you need to edit. I'm going to remove that because we don't want it in this book. And in Turabian formatting, the state should always be just 2 capital letters. So for Illinois, it's just IL. So you want to make sure to change that. Most of the other information is not going to be pulled up in your bibliography or your footnotes, so you don't need to worry about it. So we will say File, close reference. And the first time that you are going to close your reference, it's going to ask you, do you want to save it? Say yes, but then also click the box that says, don't ask me this again, because every time you go out, you are going to want to save it. Okay, so now we have our book. We've made the edits to the Library of Congress version of that book, and now we're going to insert it in our footnote. And EndNote gives you this little insert citation icon, so you just click on that, and now we're going to see our theology as big as a city inserted directly into our footnote. And there we go. Now let's say that you had a page number. You had done a quote and you need to insert a page number. Normally what you do is you put a comma right after the parentheses, comma, space, and the page number. The problem is that when you have on instant formatting, it will automatically delete that. So how do you put your page numbers in? Well, I found a trick. What you do, so what we're going to do now is a little trick when you need to insert a page number. Highlight your reference, right-click on it, and down at the bottom you'll see Edit Citations. Hover over that and scan over here and click on More. What that does is brings up an area where you can put in a prefix, suffix, or page number. So let's just put in our page number, just 24, and hit Enter. And watch the way that the reference changes to insert the page number exactly as it's supposed to be formatted, with the comma after the parentheses, a space, 24, and a period. Okay? So let's put in a second book that will be a quote within a quote, just to show you how that, and you can erase a lot of these directional kind of hints that I've put here. So City Signals, it's down here in reference number 2. We're going to delete that. Go back into EndNote and look for, I'm going to erase the author. Let's just put City Signals. There are 2 books. So let's go ahead and click on those and see what they bring up. Now, as you can see, it brought up 2 books. The one I want is the one by Dr. Brad Smith, the president of BGU. So what I'm going to do is click on the book that I don't want, go up here to File, and I'm sorry, it's Edit, and Cut. And that removes that book that we don't want, leaving just the City Signals. Double click on City Signals. Again, here's a book that, just as I was explaining to you, you want to remove that space right before the colon, and you also want to change Alabama from ALA to A capital L. File, close reference, and we are going to insert because our cursor was right at the second footnote, so that's perfect. Now let's say, for example, that in this book that you have just read, Dr. Brad Smith quoted someone else. So the author, Brad Smith, quoted Ray Bakke, who said yes. So this time we're going to insert, go to References and insert a footnote. This time we are going to go into Brad Smith's book. So again, we go into EndNote. We're going to insert that that reference again. So insert that, and it's just going to say IBID at this point. It should, if it's working correctly. Yes. So I'm going to click on the IBID, right click again, move over to Edit Citations, and down to More. Now what I'm going to do is, the prefix on this is Ray Bakke, quoted in, and space. And then down here, the page number, let's say it's page 36. And you hit enter. And EndNote will format this reference to Ray Bakke, quoted in Brad Smith, and what page it's in. Isn't that cool? So let's go down and look at how EndNote program has generated a bibliography for you. So down here, there's the Ray Bakke book, and here are a couple of other ones that I had they're in this document, in this paper template earlier. But you'll notice how there looks to be two spaces in between. There should only be one space in between. And so the way that you edit that is you go into the EndNote program, go to the bibliography, right arrow down, and go to layout. Click on the layout button and make sure that it says none and in space after, and say OK. So that part is formatted correctly. The other place that you have to go is into your styles menu. So let's go to home, and here are your styles menu. I do have another video, educational instructional video that explains about how to change styles, but we're just going to do this for our bibliography in this document. This down arrow right next to the styles menu, not the one in the far right corner, but the one up in where the heading is, click that, and on the very bottom you'll see it says apply styles. So you want to apply styles, and what that does is gives you the name of the style of whatever you're in. In this one, I guess it's still bibliography, but if I go up here to this, it's a paragraph style. If I go up here, that's heading 1 style, and we're not going to go in deeply into our styles menu, but I do want you to make sure that you understand how to change your bibliographic reference. So you're going to click on modify, and you're going to go down here to format, and then click on in the drop down box, click on the word paragraph. And now what you see here, it says double spacing. It's not, it's single spacing. Yes, it's a hanging indent, but we do not want 12 point after, so you want to remove that. So it should, this is your format when you're using the EndNote program. If you're doing a bibliography on your own, then you'll need it to be single spaced with the 12 points after, unless you want to put a hard return after every bibliography or bibliographic reference. So let's say OK and OK, and you'll see then it has removed that extra line that we don't want. And of course, in the paper template, just be sure you delete all of my instructional lines. Now you'll notice here on the these two, the Clegg and Lambert, are incorrect, incorrectly formatted. So let's go up. Here's the Clegg. Okay, well here's the Tony Lambert, Resurrection of the Chinese Church. So what I'm going to do, in order to get rid of a footnote that you do not want, you can't delete it here. You have to go up, and this is number 1. So what I'm going to do is put my cursor right before it, hit the delete, and delete it again. Now what happens is that entire reference, unless it's quoted somewhere else, should be disappear from the bibliography. Yes, you'll see it's gone. Okay? So just to remind you, in references that have famous cities, like everybody in the world knows what New York is, so you wouldn't put New York, comma, NY. somehow the comma on this remained. So this comma should actually be deleted. In the same as here, it would be deleted. So I think that we've covered most of the basics on using the EndNote program. If you have any questions, be sure you contact me. Thanks.